Buddhism is not just a religion. It is a way of life, a path that guides us to understand the nature of our existence. At its heart, Buddhism is about understanding the mind, transforming our suffering, and living with compassion and wisdom. It is a practice, not a belief system. The Buddha himself emphasized that we should not blindly believe in doctrines, but instead observe, question, and experience the truth for ourselves. Central to Buddhism is the idea that life is interconnected. Everything we do, think, and say impacts others and the world around us. This interconnectedness reminds us that we are not separate from the universe, but an integral part of it. This is why Buddhism teaches us to live in harmony, not only with others, but also with nature and ourselves. One of the first teachings of the Buddha was about the nature of suffering. He observed that life involves challenges. Aging, illness, loss, and death are inevitable. However, Buddhism does not dwell on suffering as a permanent condition. Instead, it offers tools to understand its causes and pathways to overcome it. This leads us to realize that suffering is not something to fear, but something to learn from. Another key aspect of Buddhism is its focus on the present moment. Often, we dwell on the past or worry about the future, losing sight of the life unfolding before us right now. By being mindful, we learn to appreciate the beauty in the small things. A morning breeze, a kind word, or the act of breathing. This awareness brings peace, even in difficult times. Buddhism also teaches us to see beyond labels and illusions. We often identify ourselves with our possessions, achievements, or roles in society. But Buddhism gently asks us to look deeper. Who are we beyond these external identities? The Buddha taught that true freedom comes when we let go of these attachments and discover the essence of our being, a space that is calm, clear, and unshaken by life's storms. Finally, Buddhism is about taking responsibility for our lives. We are not powerless victims of fate. We are creators of our own paths. Through kindness, mindfulness, and ethical living, we can create a life of meaning and connection. This is the essence of Buddhism. Understanding the mind, living with awareness, and cultivating compassion for all beings. It is a journey of transformation that starts from within. The foundation of Buddhism lies in the Four Noble Truths. These truths are not commandments or rigid doctrines, but insights into the nature of life. They were the first teachings the Buddha shared after his enlightenment, and they remain as relevant today as they were over 2,500 years ago. The first noble truth is the truth of suffering, often called dukkha in Pali. It is the recognition that life, as we know it, includes pain, dissatisfaction, and struggle. Birth, aging, sickness, and death are part of this truth. Even in moments of happiness, there is often a subtle undercurrent of anxiety, fearing that the joy may fade. The purpose of this truth is not to make us despair, but to help us see life as it truly is, without denial or avoidance. The second noble truth explores the cause of suffering. According to the Buddha, suffering arises from tanha, often translated as craving or desire. This craving comes in many forms: desiring pleasures, clinging to people or possessions, or wanting life to be different than it is. Even when we achieve what we desire, the satisfaction is often temporary, and new cravings arise. This endless cycle keeps us trapped in dissatisfaction. The third noble truth offers hope. the cessation of suffering. The Buddha taught that it is possible to end this cycle of craving and dissatisfaction. By letting go of attachment and desire, we can experience nirvana, a state of liberation and inner peace. This truth is not about renouncing all joys in life, but about freeing ourselves from the grasping that leads to pain. The fourth noble truth is the path that leads to the cessation of suffering. This is the Eightfold Path, a practical guide to living with wisdom, ethical conduct, and mental discipline. It is a middle way, not extreme indulgence, nor harsh self-denial, but a balanced approach to life. The Four Noble Truths form the framework of Buddhist practice. They invite us to see our lives clearly, understand the root of our struggles, and take steps toward a deeper sense of freedom and happiness. These truths are not abstract concepts. They are meant to be experienced and applied in daily life. In this way, they become a compass, pointing us toward a life of greater awareness and compassion. The Eightfold Path is the practical guide that the Buddha gave us to overcome suffering and live a meaningful, peaceful life. It is often divided into three categories: wisdom, ethical conduct, and mental discipline. Each step supports the others, creating a balanced approach to personal growth and understanding. 1. Right view. Right view is about seeing life as it truly is, through the lens of the Four Noble Truths. It means understanding that suffering exists, knowing its cause, recognizing that it can be overcome, and committing to the path that leads to its end. Right view is not about blind faith, but about cultivating clarity and wisdom. It's the foundation for the entire path. 2. Right intention. Right. Intention means aligning our thoughts with kindness, compassion, and non-harming. It is a commitment to let go of selfish desires and ill will toward others. When we act with good intentions, we create a ripple effect of positivity in the world. 3. Right speech. Right. Speech encourages us to use words that are truthful, kind, and helpful. It means avoiding lies, gossip, and hurtful language. Words are powerful. They can build bridges or create divisions. Practicing right speech helps us foster harmony and trust in our relationships. 4. Right action. Right action involves behaving in ways that do not harm others or ourselves. This includes avoiding stealing, harming living beings, and engaging in harmful sexual behavior. Right action teaches us to live ethically, with respect and care for all forms of life. 5. Right livelihood. Right livelihood means earning a living in a way that does not harm others or the environment. It encourages us to choose professions that contribute to the well-being of society. For example, jobs that involve honesty, compassion, and service align with this principle. 6. Right effort. Right effort is about cultivating positive qualities in our minds while letting go of negative ones. It means being diligent without being overly harsh on ourselves. By consistently nurturing good thoughts, habits, and attitudes, we create a strong foundation for mental and emotional well-being. 7. Right mindfulness. Right. Mindfulness is the practice of being fully present in each moment. It involves observing our thoughts, emotions, and sensations without judgment. Mindfulness helps us break free from automatic reactions and gain deeper insight into ourselves and the world around us. 8. Right. Concentration. Right. Concentration is the practice of focusing the mind through meditation. By developing concentration, we train our minds to be steady and calm, which allows us to see things as they truly are. This clarity leads to wisdom and inner peace. The Eightfold Path is not a rigid set of rules, but a flexible guide for living wisely and compassionately. Each step is interconnected, and progress in one area naturally supports growth in others. By walking this path, we move closer to the goal of liberation from suffering and toward a life of greater awareness and joy. One of the central teachings of Buddhism is impermanence, known as anicca in Pali. It is the understanding that everything in life is constantly changing. From the smallest grain of sand to the vast universe, nothing stays the same forever. This teaching is not meant to make us feel hopeless, but to help us see the beauty and truth of life. We often resist change because we seek stability and permanence. We want our loved ones, possessions, and achievements to last forever. However, life teaches us repeatedly that nothing is fixed. Flowers bloom and fade, seasons shift, and even our own bodies grow older and eventually pass away. This is the nature of existence. When we cling to things as though they are permanent, we create suffering for ourselves. We fear losing what we have or failing to achieve what we desire. But when we embrace the truth of impermanence, we can begin to let go of this attachment. We realize that holding on tightly doesn't prevent change. It only makes the process more painful. Impermanence is not only about loss. It also means that difficult moments and suffering do not last forever. Just as storms eventually pass, so too do our struggles and pain. This realization brings hope and perspective. When we face challenges, we can remind ourselves that they are temporary and that better days will come. Understanding impermanence also helps us live more fully in the present moment. Knowing that nothing lasts forever encourages us to cherish what we have while we have it. A kind word, a warm meal, or a smile from a friend becomes more meaningful when we see it as part of life's fleeting beauty. Each moment becomes an opportunity to appreciate the here and now. Impermanence also invites us to look at ourselves. Our thoughts, emotions, and even identities are constantly evolving. Who we are today is not who we were a year ago, and it's not who we will be in the future. This can feel unsettling, but it is also liberating. It reminds us that we are not stuck. We can grow, change, and create new possibilities for ourselves. Finally, embracing impermanence helps us cultivate gratitude. Instead of taking things for granted, we can appreciate life's precious moments and the people who share them with us. This mindset allows us to approach life with greater compassion, understanding, and peace. Impermanence is not something to fear. It is the rhythm of life itself. By accepting and embracing this truth, we free ourselves from clinging and open our hearts to the ever-changing beauty of the world. Mindfulness is at the heart of Buddhist practice, but its benefits are universal, touching every aspect of our daily lives. At its core, mindfulness is the practice of being fully present in the moment, with a calm and non-judgmental awareness of our thoughts, feelings, and surroundings. In our fast-paced modern world, mindfulness is more important than ever. Many of us rush through life, caught up in distractions, worries, or regrets. We often eat without tasting, listen without hearing, and live without truly being present. Mindfulness invites us to slow down and truly experience life as it unfolds. Practicing mindfulness begins with something as simple as paying attention to our breath. The breath is always with us, a steady rhythm anchoring us to the present moment. By focusing on our inhalations and exhalations, we bring our wandering minds back to the here and now. This simple act creates a space of calm and clarity, even in the midst of a busy day. Mindfulness can also transform our daily routines. When we eat, instead of rushing through a meal, we can savor each bite, noticing the flavors, textures, and effort that went into preparing the food. When we walk, we can feel the ground beneath our feet, the movement of our body, and the air around us. Even washing dishes can become a mindful practice if we focus on the sensations of the water and the act of cleaning. Beyond the physical, mindfulness helps us observe our thoughts and emotions without becoming overwhelmed by them. For example, when we feel anger or sadness, mindfulness allows us to acknowledge those feelings without judgment. Instead of reacting impulsively, we can pause, reflect, and choose a thoughtful response. This practice helps us break free from patterns of stress and negativity. Mindfulness also deepens our relationships. By giving our full attention to others, we listen more sincerely and connect more meaningfully. When we are present, we can truly understand and support those we care about. This presence fosters empathy, patience, and compassion. In moments of difficulty, mindfulness becomes a source of strength. Life's challenges can feel overwhelming, but mindfulness teaches us to take things one moment at a time. By staying grounded in the present, we realize that we don't need to solve all our problems at once. We can simply face the next step with clarity and calm. Incorporating mindfulness into daily life does not require drastic changes. It starts with small intentional moments, pausing to breathe, focusing on a single task, or noticing the beauty around us. Over time, these moments add up, creating a foundation of peace and awareness that carries us through life. Mindfulness is a practice, not perfection. It's about showing up moment by moment and living life with full presence and heart. Through mindfulness, we discover that the present moment is not only enough, it is everything. In Buddhism, compassion and wisdom are often described as two wings of a bird. They work together to help us navigate life and find true peace. Both are essential, and when cultivated together, they lead to a balanced and fulfilling life. Compassion. Compassion, or karuna in Pali, is the heartfelt wish for others to be free from suffering. It goes beyond mere sympathy. It is an active desire to help alleviate pain, whether it's physical, emotional, or spiritual. Compassion begins with the understanding that suffering is universal. Just as we experience struggles and hardships, so does everyone else. This awareness softens our hearts. It encourages us to respond to others with kindness instead of judgment. For example, when someone acts out of anger, rather than reacting with anger ourselves, compassion invites us to see their pain. Perhaps they are struggling with fears or burdens we cannot see. By approaching others with compassion, we break cycles of conflict and foster understanding. Compassion also extends to ourselves. Many of us are our own harshest critics, constantly judging our actions and decisions. But self-compassion teaches us to treat ourselves with the same kindness we would offer a dear friend. When we make mistakes, we can acknowledge them without self-hatred and learn to grow with patience and care. wisdom. Wisdom, or prajna in Pali, is the ability to see life clearly and understand its deeper truths. In Buddhism, wisdom arises from insight into impermanence, interconnection, and the nature of suffering. It is not simply knowledge or intelligence. It is the clarity that comes from direct experience and reflection. Wisdom helps us navigate life's challenges with balance. For example, when faced with a difficult situation, wisdom reminds us to step back and see the bigger picture. It allows us to respond skillfully rather than reacting impulsively. Through wisdom, we learn to distinguish between what is truly important and what is temporary or superficial. The relationship between compassion and wisdom. Compassion and wisdom are deeply interconnected. Without wisdom, compassion can become overwhelming. If we constantly give without understanding our own limits, we may burn out. Similarly, without compassion, wisdom can become cold or detached. True wisdom is not just about understanding life's truths. It's about applying that understanding to help ourselves and others. In Buddhism, the practice of these qualities often begins with mindfulness and meditation. By sitting quietly and observing our minds, we develop clarity, wisdom, and empathy, compassion. This foundation helps us bring these qualities into our daily lives. For instance, in moments of difficulty, wisdom reminds us that pain is part of life and that it will pass. At the same time, compassion encourages us to support ourselves and others with kindness during those moments. Together, they guide us toward peace and connection. Cultivating compassion and wisdom is not about perfection. It is a journey of growth and practice, step by step. As we nurture these qualities, we not only improve our own lives, but also bring light and healing to those around us. Through compassion and wisdom, we move closer to the essence of what it means to live as a Buddhist and as a human being. Detachment, in the Buddhist sense, is not about withdrawing from life or suppressing emotions. Instead, it is about letting go of our clinging and attachments to people, things, and outcomes that lead to suffering. This practice is rooted in the understanding that everything in life is impermanent and interconnected. At first, the idea of detachment can sound cold or unfeeling. After all, we value our relationships, our achievements, and the things we hold dear. But Buddhist detachment doesn't mean abandoning these things. It means relating to them in a healthier, more balanced way. It is about loving without clinging, enjoying without grasping, and striving without becoming consumed by the results. Understanding. Attachment. Attachment arises when we hold on tightly to something, believing it is the source of our happiness. We might cling to a relationship, thinking we cannot be happy without that person. Or we might attach ourselves to material possessions, career, success, or even our own opinions and beliefs. But because everything in life changes, these attachments often lead to disappointment and pain. For example, when we are attached to a specific outcome, such as getting a promotion or winning approval, we set ourselves up for frustration if things don't go as planned. Even when we achieve our desires, the satisfaction is often temporary, and new cravings arise. This cycle keeps us trapped in a state of longing and dissatisfaction. The freedom of letting go. Letting go doesn't mean we stop caring. It means we release our tight grip on things we cannot control. We learn to appreciate life's experiences without clinging to them. When we let go, we create space for peace and freedom. For instance, in a relationship, detachment allows us to love fully while respecting the other person's independence. It helps us avoid placing unrealistic expectations on them or fearing their departure. In this way, love becomes more genuine and compassionate. Similarly, letting go of attachment to material things doesn't mean we renounce all possessions. It means we stop defining our worth by what we own and focus instead on what truly brings us joy and meaning. Practicing detachment. Detachment begins with mindfulness. By observing our thoughts and emotions, we can identify areas where attachment is causing stress or unhappiness. For example, we might notice that we are overly attached to a particular outcome or deeply frustrated when things don't go our way. Awareness is the first step toward letting go. Meditation is another powerful tool for cultivating detachment. In meditation, we practice observing our thoughts without holding on to them. We learn that thoughts and feelings come and go like clouds passing through the sky. This realization helps us loosen our grip on the things we cling to. Detachment also involves trust, trusting that life will unfold as it should, and that we can handle whatever comes our way. By letting go of our need to control everything, we find greater peace and resilience. The balance of detachment. Detachment does not mean indifference. In fact, it allows us to engage with life more fully. When we are not consumed by fear, greed, or insecurity, we can act with greater clarity and compassion. We can give generously, love deeply, and pursue our goals wholeheartedly, all while accepting that outcomes may not always align with our desires. Letting go is a lifelong practice. It requires patience and self-compassion. But as we cultivate detachment, we discover a profound sense of freedom. We learn to live with openness, embracing the flow of life without being bound by it. This is the essence of letting go, a path to inner peace and true liberation. Karma is one of the most well-known teachings of Buddhism, but it is also one of the most misunderstood. The word karma simply means action, and it refers to the principle that our actions, both good and bad, create consequences. These consequences affect not only our current life, but also the cycle of life, death, and rebirth, known as samsara. What is karma? Karma is not about punishment or reward handed down by a divine being. Instead, it is a natural law of cause and effect. Every action we take, every word we speak, and even every thought we think has an impact. Positive actions, such as kindness, honesty, and generosity, lead to positive outcomes. Negative actions, such as harming others, dishonesty, or greed, lead to suffering. Karma is not immediate, nor is it simple. Its effects may not appear right away, and they can unfold over time, even into future lives. For example, an act of generosity today might bring goodwill or happiness in the future. Similarly, harmful action can create lingering pain or difficulties. Karma and responsibility. The teaching of karma emphasizes personal responsibility. It reminds us that we are not victims of fate. Instead, we are active participants in shaping our lives. Our choices matter, and we have the power to influence our own well-being and the well-being of others. This responsibility is empowering. It means that through our actions, we can create positive change. Even if we have made mistakes in the past, we can choose to act with integrity and compassion, moving forward, setting in motion a better future. Karma in daily life. Understanding. Karma encourages mindfulness in how we live. It invites us to pause before speaking or acting and consider the impact of our choices. Will this action bring harm, or will it bring kindness? Will this word sow division, or will it create harmony? By living with awareness, we create positive karma and cultivate a life of greater peace and connection. Karma also teaches us to be patient. Sometimes, despite our best efforts, challenges arise, or good deeds seem to go unnoticed. But karma is not a quick exchange. It is a process that unfolds in its own time. Trusting in this process helps us remain committed to ethical living, even when results are not immediate. The cycle of samsara karma is closely tied to samsara, the cycle of birth, death, and rebirth. In this cycle, the consequences of our actions follow us, influencing the circumstances of our lives. Buddhism teaches that this cycle is driven by ignorance, craving, and attachment. As long as these forces remain, we are bound to samsara and the suffering it brings. However, the Buddha also taught that liberation from samsara is possible by understanding the nature of karma, letting go of craving, and following the Eightfold Path. We can break free from the cycle and attain nirvana, a state of ultimate peace and freedom. Karma and compassion. The teaching of karma also fosters compassion. When we understand that everyone's actions are shaped by their past experiences and karmic patterns, we become less judgmental. We recognize that people's behaviors, good or bad, are often influenced by struggles we cannot see. This understanding encourages us to respond with kindness and patience. The wisdom of karma is not a system of strict justice, but a reminder of interconnectedness. Our actions ripple out into the world, affecting not only ourselves, but also others and the environment. By living mindfully and ethically, we can create a life of positive impact and move closer to freedom from suffering. Karma is a teaching of hope and accountability. It reminds us that every moment is an opportunity to plant seeds of goodness and wisdom, shaping a better present and future for ourselves and all beings. Being a Buddhist in today's world is not about retreating from society or adopting ancient rituals without understanding their purpose. It is about integrating the timeless teachings of Buddhism into the complexities of modern life. This approach helps us navigate challenges with clarity, compassion, and wisdom. Buddhism in everyday life. Living as a modern Buddhist begins with awareness. Whether we are at work, spending time with family, or scrolling through our phones, we can practice mindfulness. By staying present and fully engaging in each moment, we create a foundation for peace and balance. For example, consider the fast-paced nature of modern life. Deadlines, social media, and constant notifications can make us feel overwhelmed. Buddhism teaches us to pause and reconnect with the present moment. A simple breath or a brief moment of reflection can help us regain focus and perspective. This small practice can make a big difference in how we experience daily life. Ethical living. Modern Buddhists strive to live ethically, guided by the principles of the Eightfold Path. In today's world, this might mean being mindful of how our choices affect others and the planet. For instance, we can choose careers or businesses that align with our values, avoid contributing to harm through consumption, and support practices that promote sustainability and kindness. Ethical living also includes how we interact with others, whether online or in person. We can choose words and actions that promote understanding and connection. This is especially important in a time when misunderstandings and conflicts can escalate quickly. Compassion in action. A modern Buddhist life is deeply rooted in compassion. This means extending kindness not only to friends and family, but also to strangers, colleagues, and even those who may oppose us. In a world filled with division and suffering, compassion becomes a powerful way to heal and build bridges. Compassion also extends to ourselves. Modern life often pressures us to be constantly productive or perfect. Buddhist practice reminds us to be gentle with ourselves, acknowledging our imperfections without judgment. Self-compassion is not selfish. It strengthens us so we can care for others more effectively. Adapting to change. The modern world is characterized by rapid change, technological advancements, shifting social norms, and global challenges. As Buddhists, we can use the teaching of impermanence to navigate these changes with openness and flexibility. Instead of resisting or fearing change, we can embrace it as a natural part of life. For example, technology can feel overwhelming, but it can also be a tool for connection and learning. We can use it mindfully, ensuring that it serves our well-being rather than becoming a source of distraction or stress. Meditation in a busy world. In the midst of a busy modern life, finding time for meditation can be challenging. However, even a few minutes a day can have a profound impact. Meditation helps us calm the mind, focus our energy, and approach life with greater clarity. It is a practice that fits into any lifestyle, whether it's a quiet morning routine or a moment of stillness during a lunch break. Community and connection. Living as a modern Buddhist doesn't mean practicing alone. Community, or Sangha, has always been a vital part of Buddhism. In today's world, this might mean connecting with like-minded people through local meditation groups, online forums, or spiritual retreats. These connections provide support, inspiration, and opportunities for growth. Buddhism for all. Finally, living as a modern Buddhist means recognizing that Buddhism is not confined to temples or traditional practices. It is a universal way of understanding life that can be adapted to any culture, time, or individual. Its teachings of mindfulness, compassion, and wisdom are as relevant in a bustling city as they were in the quiet forests where the Buddha taught. Modern Buddhism is about living authentically, guided by timeless principles in a contemporary context. It's not about being perfect, but about walking the path with intention and heart, moment by moment. Through this journey, we discover that peace, meaning, and connection are always within our reach. The teachings of Buddhism are not about escaping life, but about embracing it fully, with clarity, compassion, and purpose. Each of the ideas we've explored, whether it's the Four Noble Truths, the Eightfold Path, mindfulness, or the nature of impermanence, offers tools to navigate life's challenges with wisdom and kindness. Remember, The Buddhist path is not about perfection. It's about progress, step by step, moment by moment. Whether you take a deep breath to center yourself, practice kindness in a small way, or simply reflect on these teachings, every effort brings you closer to a life of peace and meaning. If you found these insights helpful or inspiring, it would mean a lot if you shared your thoughts by liking this video, sharing it with others who might benefit. It's also a wonderful way to spread positivity. And if you'd like to explore more topics like this, subscribing to this channel will keep you connected to future content. Thank you for taking the time to reflect and journey with me today. May these teachings bring you a little more peace, understanding, and joy in your everyday life. Until next time, take care and be well.